I was crushed by musical instruments because we'd always take it in turns to drive.
You know what I mean? But if you show that you're humble and that you're grateful for what you have, it wants to give you more.
Yeah.
It wants to give you more.
Honestly, I share a lot of my personal stories. I'm probably not the shyest person in sharing my stuff, my personal stuff online.
Today, I'm featuring a new aspect of different facets of happiness called Behind the Mic, where we explore the unique ways that music, healing, and emotional wisdom can bring joy into our lives. I am thrilled to welcome three of my previous guests: Michele Blood, who spreads positivity through her powerful affirmation songs; Ashley Brothers, a shamanic healer helping others to connect to their inner peace; and Bola Abimbola, a passionate advocate for emotional intelligence and self-discovery. Join me as I go behind the scenes with Michele, Ashley, and Bola to uncover their unique perspectives on happiness and fulfillment. Let's dive in. Welcome, everyone, to Behind the Mic with Michele Blood. Thank you very much for joining us again, Michele.
You're welcome, Jackie.
So I have some questions from my listeners that they sent me a list of questions. So I hope you don't mind. So I'm going to get started. My first question is, I won't say the name, but the first question that came in, Michele, what does a typical day in your life look like when you're not on stage or writing a book?
Oh, my goodness. Well, I usually get up between 3 and 4 a.m. and I do what I call prayers and light transmissions for all my students from all over the world. I do that first of all.
Okay.
And then I do Pilates. I've got a reformer and because I like to stay fit.
Yeah.
And then I'm usually straight away on sessions and podcasts. And then I always like to I love to cook. So I always make a really nutritious meal that I can eat later. And then I'll finish podcasts or sessions I'm doing with people via Zoom. And then, gosh, it just depends on what's going on. If I'm in the middle, like I've just finished a book. And at the moment, my team and I are working on this new audiobook app. So there's always something. Then I'll be working with my team, going back and forth. And if I'm working on a product, or writing a book, then I'll do it in the evening. And then I'll usually go for at least a 10,000, 12,000 step walk, either on the treadmill or around the countryside. And then I will eat.
Take note, listeners. Very fit.
And then I meditate.
Yeah.
And then I, if I still feel I've got enough energy after sending light transmissions, I'll continue to work on any project that I've been working on, whether it's a book or a new song or something like that. So my days are 7 days a week, and I love it. I do all my Zooms with all my students and the public on the weekends, so the weekends are full of that. And what I have begun to do, which I didn't do before, is once every 2 months I take 2 to 3 days off to just go off somewhere and just meditate away from my home and my cats and everything, and just to be on my own and no speaking, resting the voice. And I find that when I come back, I'm like a volcano.
Yeah.
I've got so much energy and I'm ready to, so when I'm away, I don't speak, I meditate, and I exercise a lot. So that's what I do when I have time off.
Oh, that sounds wonderful. My next question: what's one thing about you that most people don't know, but would be surprised to learn?
I think I'm pretty much an open book with everybody. If, all my students, everyone know I'm very irreverent because I'm Australian, I guess. I guess I could say something very, very personal. Haven't had sex in many, many years because after my enlightenment, so probably a lot of people don't know that. After my enlightenment, the urge for that left me because I'm in such high states of consciousness. Just that urge left me, like 14 years, 15, 16 years ago.
Yeah.
So now I really told you something personal. I guess a lot of people don't know that.
Okay, next question.
I don't care. See, I'm an open book. I don't care.
Oh, goodness. How do you stay grounded and balanced with such a busy schedule and the responsibility of helping so many people?
Meditation and deep breathing, Kriya Yoga breathing, and making sure both nostrils are clear and always doing breathing. Meditation, breathing, exercise. good nutrition, lots of water, quite a few things.
Okay. Do you have any quirky rituals or routines you do before going on stage or a recording session?
Nah. No, that's one of the things that my team absolutely flip out about, that I don't ever have. It just flows through me. And I used to have to really prepare what I was going to talk about and have overheads and all this sort of thing and memorize a lot of stuff. But after my awakening, it just comes through me to the extent sometimes I'm like, wow, I've never heard that before. So, yeah, I mean, the new book, Stop Thought, Proven Methods for Meditation and Enlightenment, are all taken from transcripts from all my events. And going through it and editing it, I was, like I said to Johnny, who's worked with me for 24 years, I said, that's really amazing stuff. I wish I'd known that back then. So, yeah, it's fascinating to me as well, Jackie, how it just comes through.
Wow. This one, Louise from San Diego said to say hello. So I'm saying hello on her behalf. And she asked me to ask you this question specifically. How do you unwind after an intense day of speaking, coaching, or co-creating? Creating, rather.
Oh, long shower. Always a long shower, because having a shower releases energy from you.
Yeah.
And just being very, very quiet. And usually I would just love to have that long shower, get into bed with my cats and just watch a funny movie. That's my favorite thing after a big event.
That sounds relaxing, actually. It really does. It really does. The next question. What's your go-to source of inspiration when you're in need of some motivation or creative spark?
God through me? It just happens so spontaneously now after you've awakened. I'm not just saying it. It's just source of inspiration is just what comes through me nonstop. It's what happens is it's hard to stop the creativity, because I have to have like books and I have to tell Trevor, my assistant, all the time, I just came up with another idea, write it down so we can put it on my to-do list. It's just nonstop pretty much. And then when I'm ready and I've done, like I'm just about to do a prayer app and I've got to get all my other things finished before I begin the prayer app, doing all the recordings. So I do my best to have projects finished before a new project begins, because otherwise that is too much.
Yeah.
That is, I've got to be so focused when I do an app or a prayer or something. I just want to be totally there 100% so that when people listen back, they'll get it.
Right.
And there's no distraction. And where I live, there's no distraction. I mean, one car went by today that I saw.
Okay. And finally, if you could go back to the beginning of your career and give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be?
Don't listen to lead guitarists who tell you what to sing or what to do. Tell them to F off. Because male, back in the day, I thought I was so lucky to be in a band with such great musicians. If, when I would go for auditions to be the lead singer. And I worked with some horrible men that were just horrible. And one day I just woke up and I just said, I'm going to start my own band. I'll never do that again. But I wish I'd never, ever worked with them. But the dichotomy is, the weirdness is with the world, I wouldn't have learnt unless I'd done that. So maybe I should have, I probably, it was good that that happened.
Yeah.
But I probably wouldn't have let myself be walked over so much by record labels and men in the industry. As a female singer, it's really tough. I would have been just a little bit braver, I think.
Yeah.
To speak up.
No, that's great. That's great advice. Michele Blood, thank you for joining us on Behind the Mic. Really appreciate your time today. It was wonderful. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you. God bless you too, Jackie. Thank you for doing all of this.
Thank you. Welcome, Ashley Brothers, to Behind the Mic. So, can you tell us what are the top 5 things that people should know just to help people around the world?
Yeah, I think a lot of times people don't know what they want. I know it sounds kind of funny, but really, clarity, like just sitting down and getting clear about what you want in your life. Because like a lot of times people they let life pass them by. So really, just sit down, get a journal, write down what you want and why. That why has to be strong. It has to be powerful enough to motivate you, even in times that are challenging, or it feels like the world is against you, or nobody else sees your vision and doesn't believe in it. So what you want and why, and then again, get clarity about what you need to start or stop doing to have those things to become the person that has that life. Create a plan of action, put it down on a calendar, and then start taking some dynamic action. Get rid of toxic stuff in your homes. People have no idea how they're having these chronic mental, emotional, and physical conditions because the synergistic effect of the stuff in their clean products, beauty products, healthcare products, things like that, their
Yeah.
food. This is not a joke anymore. Like people are coming down with some crazy things that don't need to happen just because of the toxicity. So really like have healthy products, whole foods, clean water, good salt, things like that in their diet and their life. So those are the first two things. Get rid of toxic people. If somebody is in your life that is constantly being negative, disparaging, they try to program you to like talk you out of possibilities or whatever, get rid of them because they will destroy your mind, your health, and your goals, your dreams. So, get rid of that. Also, to surround yourself with the people that have the life that you want. You could be the worst man on the totem pole, but if you have these amazing people, they will not only raise you up, they will give you the tools, the advice, the wisdom you need to have that lifestyle. Don't be taking advice from people who don't have the life that you want. If they don't have the results, they should keep their mouth shut.
They
So,
should.
so yeah. So get rid of get rid of the toxic people that are talking you out of possibilities, and they don't have to be bad people, but if they're just not helping you, they may be hurting you in a lot of different ways. And that's not to be mean. And then surround yourself with the healthy people. The last thing really truly, well, actually there's two things. One, there's a difference between being nice and being kind. A nice person will lie to your face just to either get attention, approval, or to stay safe, or to try to manipulate you into doing something for them later. Kindness will tell somebody the truth that even if they don't like it and leave that person their dignity intact.
Mm.
So just learn the difference between nice and being kind, and don't say what you don't mean. You know what I mean? Say what you mean and don't say what you don't mean. Know your yeses and your nos.
My
Okay.
second question is, can you share with us something about yourself that no one knows or that you haven't shared publicly yet with anyone?
Okay. Dun
I
dun
know that can be
dun.
difficult because you're all over the world.
Yeah,
Words of inspiration, anything.
I think for me, like ever since 2020 hit, things have changed. In 2023 onwards, most specifically, there are a lot of people out there that feel like they died, like they lost themselves. They don't know what they believe in anymore, whatever. And I've been doing this work for 20 some years, the spiritual work. And I have to say myself, my faith has changed. My beliefs in what is real have changed. And I've actually stopped spiritualizing toxicity. I stopped looking at, oh, this is a past life problem. This is a soul contract or whatever. Oftentimes, especially when it comes down to toxic relationships, a lot of my clients will say they thought they made their soulmate, their twin flame, their past life lover, or whatever. And now instead of looking at it through that lens, I'll ask, do you have a history of trauma? Because they will often not realize that their toxic person that represents a relationship that is still unresolved from their childhood. And so this is where maybe asking yourself, and this is what I've had to ask myself, what is an ordinary problem, an ordinary and non-ordinary problem and solution? And the thing that really changed my life during this period was I asked myself, what was my role in every toxic thing that ever happened to me? And I realized later that nothing was what I thought it was.
Oh,
And so when I asked myself what my role was in all the different things, I realized that aside from some early childhood traumas, I created a persona, I created a lifestyle, I created habits that nearly put me in the grave. And I had looked at everything as a victim and whatever. And it wasn't until I had written a book that I never published that I had realized I had written down all my thought processes and what I had done to create a horrible life for myself. And I had to make these different decisions, what I had to start and stop doing to have a totally different outcome.
And become a completely different person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my beliefs changed because of it, because when I asked myself what was my role in every positive thing that ever happened, but what was also my role in every negative thing, because I'm the common denominator in my own life. And so I had to ask myself what like, especially as toxic relationships, like, you're a people pleaser. You need to stop doing that, because you keep thinking that if you are going to be nice enough that you are going to get the outcome you want. And this version of myself says, do you know that that's manipulation? I was like, I am a good person. And they're like, there's a difference between being kind and being nice. You would hope that those people would give you something or treat you a certain way, that they would turn around and love you. And a lot of people keep being nice to toxic people, hoping that they will turn around and finally treat them the way they want to be treated. And so I was making some bad decisions and then not realizing that I was responsible for that. So my beliefs have changed when I finally took extreme ownership of my life and again asked myself what was my role in all of these different things. And I need to do more of the things that made me successful and stop doing the things that undermined my happiness.
Ashley Brothers, thank you very much for sharing that with us. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Bola, thank you so much for joining us on Behind the Mic.
Thank you so much for inviting me again, Jackie. Beautiful.
Of course, of course. So I have a few questions for you. My first question is, why did you go into this practice of spirituality and mindfulness? And what's your personal story? A lot of people don't know the personal side of Bola. Can you share?
Mm, mm. Thank you, Jackie. Honestly, I share a lot of my personal stories, and that's just because I feel that nothing is really new, and it's really about connecting with someone else. So whatever experience we've had, there's always somebody who has had something similar. So I don't necessarily think they are unusual, but they're mine, they're unique. And so that's the difference. How did I get into spirituality? I actually was raised by a very strong Christian. My mother was in church. She was a lay reader in church. And there were a number of things that I experienced as a child that led me to want something different. Being exposed to religion, I found that I couldn't really find peace in it. And I had to really explore, and I explored. I searched far and wide, doing different things to enable me to understand self. That was so important because bit of my childhood, I definitely had trauma from very early on. I had childhood sexual abuse. I also had stuttering, which really, when you can't get words out, it's very isolating, and I was an A student, but I didn't really, prefect, head girl and all of that stuff. So I was confident, but I would say very little. I would hide the fact that I was feeling uncomfortable a lot of the times. I didn't really connect to my truth. And this happens to many of us. As we're growing up, we are conditioned to suppress our feelings, suppress our thoughts. So I went through all of that. And from the age of 4 to the age of 16, I actually went to 6 different schools. So my primary and secondary school, I was in different schools, changing from because my parents were very dynamic and they kept moving and changing jobs, and it led to us having to change schools. And this is my older brother and myself had to change schools. My 2 younger brothers they didn't have to change. I think they changed maybe twice. But having to change school 4 times, you lose friends, you have to make new friends, and you don't really connect. Then now that feeling of isolation, of not really being able to feel connected to my own self, to feeling like I was lost. This started from way before I was 5 years old. And then family loss, my father passing away at the age of 11, me connecting to my spiritual gifts, which is seeing my father who had passed in his room, actually seeing him and thinking he had come home from the hospital because he was ill. And my mum coming home that day telling me that he had died in hospital, he had passed in hospital. And I said to her, I saw him in his room. He's in his room. And she goes, no, he didn't come home. He has passed.
Oh,
So that again showed me that there's something here. There's something that Christianity doesn't touch. This ability to express yourself in a different way, in connecting to spirits that have passed. And there's so many different, when I say Christianity, there's so many different Christian sects, and some accept it more than others. So this is something that I struggled with because I tried different sects for a period of when I was in my teens, age 13, 14. I'll go with friends to different Christian sects and trying to explore that, but I couldn't find the peace that I sought. So it was really about me engaging in reading. I read a lot from the age of, 10, 11, 12. By the age of, I think it was 18, I read a book by Ramana Maharshi, which was talking about, the book was titled Who Am I? And he was talking about the different selves within us, the higher self and the spirits, and the ego self, physical ego self. And that set me on my course. This was key.
hmm.
It really, my mom was a librarian, so we had books at home, almost in every room. She would get books from all over the world, on the shelf. So we had lots of books. And my brothers, reading is a powerful modality. We're all writers in my family. So it's, this is, nothing is a coincidence. Nothing is a coincidence. So yes, now I'm in this place where I am really enjoying an understanding of myself
Yeah.
as a physical ego self with different personality constructs, and also has that higher self that is really a part of infinite intelligence, a part of the universal energy of God, and very comfortable with both of them, and allowing that higher self to drive the physical ego selves, which are now surrendering more and more. I mean, there are ups and downs all the time,
Mhm.
but it's about not really being concerned about the uncertainty of life,
Yes.
knowing that we are never alone. We've got that physical ego self knows for certain that
True.
it is not
Very
alone
true.
and it is loved. It's seen, it's recognized, and there's trust. So that is why now I support my clients in understanding that self, having that self awareness. That is so key to understand and accept self for higher conscious living, higher conscious, because we've got to be more conscious of the things we're doing, the things we're saying, being mindful through my programs and courses on my websites and, different things that I do, including my book, Daily Soul Bites, which is also available anywhere books are sold. It's talking about the different perspectives
Yes.
within us.
So, if you had to start your spiritual journey all over again from the beginning, but with the wisdom that you have today, what would you do differently and why?
I wouldn't change a thing.
Mm.
I couldn't if I tried to change the thing because I know that the soul has such a purpose. The soul sets up the path. The soul actually has developed this pathway even before I was born into this life. And so there is a sequence of things that happen. The mother I chose, the father I chose, they choosing me. It was a very mutual. And I know that I chose my first son because I saw him in a dream the night we conceived. And conception becomes such a conscious thing when you're trying to have kids for 10 years.
Yes.
So it doesn't, you're planning things, you're planning it and you know when something has happened because you're very conscious of it. So I know that childbirth is not coincidental. That's from my own personal experience. Because it's one thing to read something, is another thing to actually experience it.
Right.
So I wouldn't change a thing, and everything is a stepping stone. From the childhood sexual abuse, that allowed me. I mean, yes, it was painful. And may we choose different ways to learn. May we choose different, more loving ways to grow. Because we can grow through the shadow, we can grow through love and light. There are different ways to grow. But I must have had reasons to because I have absolutely gratitude and thankfulness for where I am now.
Yeah.
I totally enjoy my life, my kids, you know, my divorces. Every single marriage gave me something that I couldn't have had if I had stayed single. And anybody who knows me know I love my single life. To forfeit that and go into marriage, which has its pros and cons, there was
Yes.
a reason for every single thing. So those, I don't think there's anything I would change. I believe in meanings. I believe experiences give us meanings. And each experience is a stepping stone to the
Mm.
next, to the next. And it's ongoing, it's a journey. So I am enjoying the journey. And I cannot imagine which part of my life I would change.
Well, let me ask you this question then. What is the most important lesson to learn in this lifetime?
Love.
Mm,
They understand what love means to us. Understand the importance of love because we are living in a lifetime in this earth plane that doesn't really understand love. It's really about suppressing love and competition and fear. One of the most important things I really believe is to understand love and to practice it, to embody it, to use it, to give it, to receive it, to understand how other people want to be loved in that reflection. Understand how you want to be loved, to express it, to communicate how you want to be loved, to communicate what love means to you, to communicate in a loving way. Love in all its totality. This is so powerful because growth happens through love. Expansion happens through love. Even in business.
Yeah.
We do business with those who we feel kind of have goodwill. We feel we can trust.
yes.
So there is, for me, love encompasses all, and learning to understand it and embody it is really key.
Yeah. Well said, Bola. Well said. So, my final question to you, what's something about your interests that would surprise people? I know you said you're an open book, but there has to be something.
I think I'm very solitary. I'm
Okay.
actually a very, very solitary being. I could see myself living in a mountain somewhere and just,
Would you say that you're a bit of an introvert?
I'm a bit of both. Probably an omnivert. I can do, because we have all these personality constructs, So I can do, I mean, I was in politics. I can do extrovert, too. I can be the soul of the party. I can be the life of the party. I used to party every Friday for many years. I love dancing. But deep down, and I guess it comes from my years of being a stutterer. I love silence. I love stillness. I love peace. Peace is so important. So I could very easily, if I didn't have to keep an oversight over my children, I could easily be in a mountain on some remote place off the grid. Um, because I don't, that may surprise those who know me to be very social and extroverted on my shows, talking everything. But I'm very much a solitary person, and I do what I need to do as I feel called in
Yes.
order to fulfill a purpose. But when I'm not doing anything publicly or in my other work that I do, I love being on my own.
Well, this does surprise me because you have such a bold personality.
Mm,
Really, really do.
interesting. Yes, that's something that I know that people would go, "Oh my goodness, I would have thought that you would
Yes.
enjoy being very social." I did at some point, but I love, nothing pleases me more than just sitting on a beach, remote beach, reading a book, just lovely, lovely.
Yes.
Peace.
Yeah. Enjoying your own company. I understand. Trust me. Bola, thank you very much for this time today, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Jackie. Lovely to be here.
Thank you.
You.
Thank you for joining me on Behind the Mic of Different Facets of Happiness. I really hope that you enjoyed today's episode with Michele, Ashley, and Bola. Their insights remind us that happiness comes in many, many forms. And also, please stay connected and join me next time as we continue to explore the diverse path to a fulfilling life. I'm Jackie Denise.